Hello friends, welcome back. Today in the evolution of management, let us study about Frederick Wilson Taylor's scientific management, principles of scientific management. Principles of scientific management by Taylor. F.W. Taylor or Winslow Taylor is also known as the father of scientific management. Okay. Proved with his practical theories that a scientific method can be implemented to management. Taylor gave much concentration on supervisory level of management and performance of managers and workers at an operational level. Taylor defined scientific management as scientific management is concerned with knowing exactly what you want men to do and then see in that they do it in the best and cheapest way. Okay. So as per the Taylor's, he himself was a mechanical engineer, and what he said is he analyzed how work has to be done at a different levels, supervisory level, at operational level, from all the levels of management, and how best you can do in a more cheaper way. We will study in detail about all the principles of scientific management. Firstly, we'll study about the elements and tools of scientific management. Taylor conducted many experiments at his workplaces to find out how human beings could be made more efficient by standardizing the work and better method of doing the work. So we all know that when there is a standardization in work, the work will be done in a more better way. So these experiments have provided the following features of scientific management. First one is separation of planning and doing, functional foremanship, job analysis, standardization, scientific selection and training of workers, financial incentives, economy and mental revolution. So we'll study in detail about each one of these. Yes, separation of planning and doing. Taylor emphasized the separation of planning aspect from actual doing of work. Earlier, worker used to plan about his work and equipments required for his work. He was put under the supervisor known as gang boss. The supervisor job was to check the performance of his workers. Okay, so earlier what happened, every worker has to do his own plan about the equipment that is required to do his job, and he was headed by a person, a supervisor who was called as a gang boss. But as per the experiment of Taylor, what he suggested is, you see here, Taylor emphasized that planning should be done by supervisor and the worker should emphasize only on operational work. Okay. So according to Taylor, all the planning should be done by supervisor, the head, and the workers, what they should do, they should just go on implementing the planning done by the supervisor. This is separation of planning and doing. Next is a functional foremanship. Functional foremanship is an administration of the factory system that supports for possessing numerous foremen in separate and variant functional roles. In earlier days, factories had just one total manager who would manage the entire operations. This manager or foreman was only one point of contact for factory employees. So Frederick Winslow Taylor, the distinguished engineer who transformed scientific management in the late 19th century, discovered the significant fault in this practice. When he noted all the features would require a successful supervisor of that particular task and for that particular kind of work, he disconcerted that no one person would probably have every single one. Hence, the idea of working foremanship started. So as said earlier, there was only one manager who would manage everything. So Taylor found a fault in that. He said that every functions require one manager so that he can supervise it in a more better way. So we'll study about the Taylor's observation. According to him, it is impossible for a single worker to be master in each and every aspect of production. Therefore, he insisted 8 persons should be performing the duties of a foreman, and this kind of work is known as functional foremanship. The following roles were included in this kind of job. First one is instruction card clerk. This instructor gives instructions to workers regarding their work. Route clerk, his role was to mention the route of production. Time and cost clerk, his role was to arrange the time and cost sheet. Disciplinarian, his role was to maintain discipline in the production facility in the factory. So these 4 roles are under the planning supervisor. Next 4 roles are there which are under the production supervisor. First one is speed boss. Maintains the time record for the job assigned to the worker. Checks if the job is completed timely. Okay, speed is regarding the time. Then comes his gang boss. The main responsibility of this person is to keep machines in a ready state for work. Next comes his repair boss. He checks or maintains all the machines and tools whether they are in proper condition or not. Next is inspector. The responsibility of quality of work is taken care by this inspector. So he says that the complete production work is divided into 2 parts, planning and production part. In planning, we have 4 different sections where we have different section supervisors. Similarly, under production also, we have 4 different sections over there. So this is dividing is called as functional foremanship. So next comes is job analysis. Job analysis is undertaken to find out the best way of doing the things. The best way of doing a job is one which requires a least movement, consequently less time and cost. Least, we have here least movements and less time and cost. So here he said about 3 studies: time study, motion study and fatigue study. So as we all can analyze, time study involves what? Determination of time a movement takes to complete the job. Motion is, that is a movement. Study of movements involved in doing a job, eliminating unnecessary movements in doing your job so that it reduces time and also the fatigue of the workers. The fatigue study involves the amount and frequency of rest required in completing the work. Okay, so while working you require sufficient breaks. So that break, when you give that break, the workers can further work in a full capacity or more efficiently. So these 3 studies he says about the job analysis. Thus, job analysis of Taylor suggested the fair amount of a day's work for the workers. Standardization. Standardization refers to the process of setting standards for every business activity. It can be raw material, product, time, etc. A standard way of working. Standardization means usually when we make a perfect way, a perfect route of working. Standardization should be maintained in respect of instruments and tools, period of work, amount of work, working conditions, cost of production, etc. These things should be fixed in advance on the basis of job analysis and various elements of cost that go in performing a work. Standardization at every level is important. Scientific selection and training of workers. Taylor suggested that workers should be selected on scientific basis, taking into account their education, work experience, aptitude, physical strength, etc. Apart from selection, proper training should be given to the workers, which makes them more efficient and effective. So when you select a worker, So you should always see his education and what is his experience, the work experience, what he has, his aptitude checking, and his physical strength, and for which job he is suitable. And after selection, it is also important that you give a proper training to him so that his work will be more efficient and effective. Financial incentives. Financial incentives can motivate workers to put in their maximum efforts. If provisions exist to earn higher wages by putting in extra effort, workers will be motivated to earn more. So, what does this mean is, of course, there will be a salary or incentive to the workers. But if the incentives are paid as per the worker, that means if he works more, then more salary. In that case, the workers will be motivated. So, according to Taylor, Taylor applied the concept of differential piece rate system, where he suggested that wages should be paid on individual performance and not on the position which he occupies. Further, the wage rate should be fixed on accurate knowledge and not on estimates. So, according to him, he specified that differential piece rate system. So, as per this, he says that the wages should be paid, or the incentives should be paid for the worker on his individual performance and not on position what he holds. And also, it should be fixed on accurate knowledge and not on estimates. Yeah, economy. Taylor suggested that along with scientific and technical aspects, adequate consideration should be given to economy and profit. The economy and profit can be achieved by making the resources more productive as well as by eliminating the wastages. According to him, we should be adopt economy in our working conditions and earn more profit, avoid all the types of wastages. So the mental revolution. This technique involves a shift of attitude of management and workers towards each other. Both should understand the value of each other's work and work with full participation and cooperation. The aim of both should be to improve and boost the profits of the organization. Mental revolution demands a complete change in the outlook of both the workers and management. Both should have a sense of togetherness. So mental revolution means, as you all know, the boss and the workers should understand each other, should work in cooperation, and everybody's goal should be the management's goal. Okay, so when everything works in cooperation, then only you can succeed. So now we'll study the principles of scientific management. Principles of scientific management by Taylor. F.W. Taylor or Frederick Winslow Taylor is also known as the father of scientific management. Proved with his practical theories that a scientific method can be implemented to management. Taylor gave much concentration on the supervisory level of management and performance of managers and workers at an operational level. So let us discuss in detail about the principles of scientific management. Yeah, in the principle, the first one, science, not the rule of thumb. This rule focuses on increasing the efficiency of an organization through scientific analysis of work and not with the rule of thumb method. Taylor believed that even a small activity like loading paper ship into box can be planned scientifically. This will save time and also human energy. This decision should be based on scientific analysis and cause and effect relationships rather than rule of thumb, where the decision is taken according to the manager's personal judgment. So as per Taylor, he says that in every activity, some scientific method or scientific procedure should be followed. As per the work, the procedure should be followed. It is not that a rule of thumb should be followed in every activity. Harmony, not discord. Taylor indicated and believed that relationship between the workers and management should be cordial and complete harmony. Difference between the two will never be beneficial to either side. Management and workers should acknowledge and understand each other's importance. Taylor also suggested the mental revolution for both management and workers to achieve total harmony. As we have studied in mental revolution, there should be a coordination between the boss and the workers, the management and the workers. Then only we can achieve our goal and the success of the organization can be achieved. So the third principle is cooperation, not individualism. It is similar to harmony, not discord, or mental revolution, and believes in mutual collaboration between workers and the management. Managers and workers should have mutual cooperation and confidence and a sense of goodwill. The main purpose is to substitute internal competition with cooperation. So don't compete among yourself, don't pull others, work with cooperation and coordination for the organization. Then only the organization can be successful, it can reach its goal. Fourth one is maximum output, which is the most important for every organization. Production maximization is the basic objective of each and every organization, which serves the purpose of its survival, growth, and development. Through this principle, Taylor has emphasized on the need of maximizing productivity or output. According to this principle, the workers as well as the management should try to maximize the productivity of the organization. For this purpose, scientific techniques have been indicated by Taylor, which should be followed in the organization. Scientific techniques assure better and improved quality output with minimum or less wastage. Maximization of output as compared to limited output or fixed output is very beneficial in all facets. Workers, management, consumers, and society as a whole will be benefited from this. Maximum output increases the profits of the management, and on the other hand, workers enjoy an incremented wages. With increased productivity, consumers get quality products at just and fair prices, as well as the interest of the society at large is also served properly. We all know very clearly that maximization, production maximization, marketing maximization will lead to profit maximization. When there is a profit, when there is a large output, then what happens? It benefits everyone. At every level there is a benefit. Management, for the workers, for the consumers, for the society, for the country, everywhere it will be helpful. So production maximization is his fourth principle. The last one is development of every person to his greatest efficiency. The effectiveness of a company also relies on the ability and skills of its employees. Thus, implementing training, learning best practices and technology is a scientific approach to brush up the employee skill. To assure that the training is given to the right employee, the right steps should be taken at the time of selection and recruiting candidates based on scientific selection. So as we have studied in selection and training, correct person should be selected based on his education, work experience, aptitude, as well as his physical ability, and the correct job should be assigned to the correct person, and also proper training at every time should be given so that his work efficiency and his working capacity will be increased. So all these we have studied about the scientific principles or principles of scientific management as said by F.W. Taylor. So we'll study about the benefits, who are the followers of scientific management and critical analysis. First we'll go for the benefits. Benefits to employers. Scientific management leads to the following benefits to the employers. Use of scientific techniques leading to efficient management of resources. Proper selection and training of the workers leading to better workforce. Establishment of harmonious relationship between the workers and the management. Achievement of equal division of responsibilities between the workers and the management. Scientific determination of fair work a worker can do each day. This leads to establishment of good relationship between the employers and the workers. Standardization of tools, equipments, materials, and work methods for increasing efficiency. Better utilization of various resources. As we all know that employers, the owners of the organization, whenever it is in a more scientific way, standardized way, it will be beneficial for both the management as well as the employees. Benefits to the workers. Detailed instructions and guidance for the workers. Opportunity for training and development to increase skills. Better working conditions and tools of work for good health of the workers. Incentive wages to the workers for higher productivity. Less fatigue in work because of application of scientific methods and better working environment. With application of all these principles, as we know, there is a perfect guidance for the workers to work. Training and development of the workers is taken into consideration, as scientific training is one of the principles, and their incentives is considered as per their efficiencies. And the work analysis, where in job analysis a perfect job division should be given so that there is a break between the jobs, so that the worker can work more efficiently with less fatigue. So the benefits to the society: increased productivity in the country, better quality products at lower cost to the people, higher standard of living of people through better products, technological developments due to scientific investigations. Naturally, when organizations productivity increases, naturally the country also starts developing. So we also have the followers of scientific management and critical analysis of Taylor's scientific management. Okay, so this I'll be posting it in my PPT that you can refer. Okay, so these are the critical analysis of scientific management. Some more critical analysis we have. Okay, and the major reasons for the opposition of scientific management were as follows, that is in a shortlisted, in abstract matter it is given over here. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I have given about the principles of scientific management as said by F.W. Taylor.